As you start to run through the other systems of the car, as I said, it's got 3 modes in the transmission: comfort, manual, and sport. Sport is really all you ever need. The manual version in this, you get paddle shifters, is just too slow to react to be fast. And we absolutely proved that by the fact that we took it to the quarter mile, and the fastest times you're going to get are just by leaving it in sport mode. Where manual is nice is if you want to do some enthusiastic driving on some back roads. The sport mode doesn't quite hold gears high enough and leave you in a high enough rev range, where the manual mode will do that. And because you can guess far ahead of time of what gear you want to select next, it's fine. In comfort mode, this car's 7-speed automatic also has full eco stop start, which a lot of people have complained about, and it's one of those places I think I have to disagree. The stop start in this thing works as well as can be expected. You know, you do get that shudder as it shuts down and a little bit of a shake as it starts up, but for something that's turning over 5.5 liters of V8, it really is pretty transparent and works quite well. And I can tell you this, as you're staging at the drag strip, having something that's constantly turning off the engine and keeping it as cool as possible is a handy feature for all the people out there that are going to buy an ML63 and take it to the drags. The other thing in the ML is the brakes are impressive for something that weighs 5,000 pounds. They may not be the most natural feeling brakes out there, but they just stomp closed on those monstrous rotors that are underneath those wheels and really can hold down speed quickly, which is important because it's one of those things that I took a lot of people for rides in this. You know, when you get the chance to drive a $100,000 AMG derivative of any model, it is a special occasion in all honesty. And I don't think anybody quite was appalled by how fast this was. Sure, there's sort of the hold breath as this thing just surges away, but it gains speed so effortlessly, and it sounds great and makes the right noises doing it, but still it just isn't like raw and visceral, which is fine. It's a $100,000 luxury SUV, but I can tell you the damn thing is fast. We took it to, like I said, the drag strip with a full tank of gas and 200 pounds of tub in the front seat in 95 degree heat with almost 100% relative humidity. The thing ran 12.7 at 111.5 miles per hour, time after time after time, and you could just do it all day long. You know, if you had to go build a bracket racer that ran as consistent of times as this, you'd have a really hard time. With this, put it in sport, you'll use a little brake throttle overlap, launch hard, and it just does what it's supposed to time after time after time. The steering, much like the brakes, isn't the most organic thing out there, but, you know, in a 5,000-pound SUV that when, you know, let's face it, it's going to do most of its duties sort of strolling through parking lots, needs to be feather light for the people that are going to drive it. In sport mode, it does a good job of weighting up without being artificially overly heavy. When you hustle the ML63, and I guess you could actually say it hustles you because it just shoves you along so effortlessly, the ride and the handling is actually amazingly controlled. The suspension that's underneath this is, you know, air as well as adjustable as far as how stiff the sway bars are. And, you know, it's got, I think they call it Activetronic suspension, which means as you start to load it up into a corner, it stiffens up to make sure it doesn't have an enormous amount of roll. And it really does work well and naturally and allow you to toss around something that really is nowhere near the business that this thing does to be an entertaining thing to drive, even on twisty back roads. So from a design perspective, AMG has put their normal set of touches on the M-Class. They've made the outside more aggressive and sharper. It looks more hunkered down, but it's still handsome. It's not garish in any way. And those 20-inch wheels that I keep talking about, I think even with those compared to these, because the 21s are impressive to look at, but they really do stand out. I think with the 20-inch wheels, you get something that's really a pretty refined and handsome package. In my opinion, far more handsome than the base ML. And on the inside, it's a beautiful place to spend time in here. This one's got the dark wood. You get your French stitching on the dash. The seats, again, you get contrasting French stitching in the seats and on the doors. It's a special place to spend time. And on that thought, the thought of a special place to spend time. Again, I'm not here to debate whether or not Mercedes should build this. Do I care? No. Should they have? None of my business, in all honesty. What I can tell you is they've got all the parts. They put them together extremely well, and it makes for an entertaining package that, again, feels special. When you get into this, it's not your everyday sort of mid-sized luxury SUV. That if you're out there, you've got a combined family income of whatever it is, $500,000 a year, you want something that is different, but yet allows you to have the capabilities and the utility of a mid-size SUV. So on that thought of being special, it is the one thing that the AMG version of the M-Class does very, very well. It always feels special. You're never going to forget when you're driving one of these that you're driving something that isn't a commonplace mid-size luxury SUV. You're always going to hear that exhaust note, and you're always going to have the ability to just embarrass almost anything stoplight to stoplight. So there's our video review. I'm Kevin Gordon from AutoSavant.com, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon.